Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. This is the Innovate in MedTech podcast, a show for MedTech and life sciences professionals that aims to help you get ahead in your career. I'm your host, Tara Sharma, ex-MedTech professional turned executive search headhunter and owner of recruitment agency Innovate Search for the MedTech, pharma and biotech industries with over 20 years of experience in the healthcare field. For more tips and tricks on how to get ahead in your career, follow me on LinkedIn. Let's dive into this week's episode. So Tony, we're so excited to have you here today for the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very humbled.
I know. Well, it's taken me a while to get you here, so thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And look, you need no introduction, but could you introduce yourself to our audience so that they know who you are and where you work at the moment?
Yes, of course. Thank you. My name's Tony Pelle. Born and bred in Sydney, from an Italian background, very proud of my Italian heritage. So mum and dad moved here to Australia in the mid-60s. Okay. No English language, no money in their pocket, and made a life for us, I guess, that I'm very grateful for. Very proud husband of my wife Louise. I married my high school sweetheart, so we've been boyfriend and girlfriend since we were 14, and just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary, so that was great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And very proud dad of 3 beautiful kids.
Wow.
Kids, adults now, so ranging from 23 through to 17, so.
Excellent. And currently you're?
Currently Managing Director at Medacta Australia.
Yeah.
So I guess I've had the privilege of working at Medacta for nearly 18 years.
Yeah.
And was offered the Managing Director's position in 2012 and have been very privileged to have led the organisation since then.
Excellent, and that's what I want to dig into, that journey, because that's so inspirational. So first of all, just kind of give me a little bit of a background about how you got into the industry, you know, obviously coming to Australia and then what happened, and then also how you got into Medacta and your journey through Medacta.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you for asking. So how did I get into the industry? I was always very inquisitive when it came to health and the medical side of things. And, perhaps I didn't concentrate enough at school, but ended up landing in a nursing degree. So psychology and nursing were my 2 areas of interest. The nursing offer at university came through first, so that was the one I took. So I had a really great career, only for a short period of time, about 4 or 5 years in nursing. And during that journey, went to the operating theatre and was just astounded by what I saw in the operating theatre. Patients were asleep as well, so that was a little bit easier to deal with than being awake, of course. And a friend of mine that I was nursing with had moved into orthopaedics. And he gave me a call and said, would you like to come and have a look at what we do? So I guess it was quite a simple introduction into the world of orthopaedics, to be perfectly honest, via a friend. Okay,
and so that's when you were nursing.
Correct, yeah.
And then how did the transition from nursing into medical devices happen?
So during my nursing time, I decided that perhaps nursing wasn't for me a long time, so I went and did some stuff. So I was studying in the evening, doing a master's degree, and was heading towards hospital management and administration, and then I got a call regarding orthopaedics. So I thought, you know, orthopaedics is great, the operating theatre is great, I like tinkering around, this could be really interesting. And often was very inspired in the operating room when the reps would come into theatres and you know, show their wares and guide the surgeons through surgery. So I thought, wow, that's a pretty privileged place to be, and so something that took my interest.
Wow. And so then did you was Medacta the first?
No, so I started working with Biomet. Ray Hudspeth was the principal there, and he was an excellent businessman and taught me a lot over the period of time. From Biomet I moved on to Stryker, so I sort of got, I guess, the best of both worlds, working for a small, very dedicated distributor onto a large multinational company. And it was during my time at Stryker that Medacta approached me, which kind of fell somewhere in the middle, I guess, from a small distributor to a large multinational to a relatively new family-owned company in the world of orthopaedics. So I was very interested in Medacta. It was founded by a patient Alberto Siccardi, who was of Italian background as well, and head office was just outside of Milan. So I thought this looks pretty interesting. But I guess what really attracted me to Medacta was this concept they had for direct anterior approach. So a true muscle sparing technique to perform total hip replacement, and having a quasi-clinical background and having worked in the operating theatre, I thought this all makes sense. I'd be very interested to see what's going on here.
Okay, and so you'd sort of worked for that smaller distributor, you'd gone to a bigger organisation. Medacta felt like a good place in between. So at the time you joined Medacta, what kind of position were you in, and what was the size of the company here in
okay, that's some good memories there. So Medacta there were 3 people working at Medacta. Noel Griffith, who was the managing director at the time, the older guys, who was our secretary. She used to pack the kits, she'd do the finances, and myself. I came in as a sales representative in the southwest of Sydney.
Okay.
So there was 3 of us when we founded, and of course they had opened the business some months earlier with under a distribution model in Victoria.
Okay.
So there was a distributor and then 3 direct employees.
Okay. When was that, Tony?
That was March 2008.
My goodness. Okay. Tell me what has happened since then.
Well, a lot's happened since then. So the business has significantly grown. We're very proud to say that we're well over 150 employees now here in Australia.
Incredible.
And we've helped really shape the market in total joint replacement, particularly in the hip side, to having introduced a particular technique into the Australian market, and now more than 30% of the Australian market is done via that surgical technique.
Via anterior technique.
Yeah, so it's been great.
That's been amazing. And what was your journey? So obviously you started as a sales rep or a territory manager.
Absolutely. So sales as a sales rep. Did have the opportunity to become a distributor.
Okay.
So that was, I guess, one of the key pivotal points in my career where I thought, do I go down the distribution road or do I become a company man? And I loved the culture, I loved the people, and I thought, well, I'd actually be better suited to working for the company, with the company.
Okay.
As a direct employee, so stayed on. So went on to managing part of New South Wales, and then onto a national sales role. And there was a little bit of turnover, let's say, at Medacta in the early days. There were quite a number of managing directors that sort of started and for various reasons didn't stay on. And then in 2012, I received a phone call from the president, Alberto Siccardi at the time, and he said, Mr. Pelle, I used to call him Dr. Siccardi, and he used to call me Mr. Pelle. Mr. Pelle, I would like to talk to you about running my company. And I was really blown away.
And you were a national sales manager at the time?
I was a national sales manager at the time. About 34 years of age. So I was very nervous about that. And Alberto said, look, you don't need to worry. I'll look after you. I'll stay close to you. You just keep doing what you're doing. Be honest with me. Don't lie to me. And I guess 13, 14 years later, we're still working together.
That's amazing. So let's dig into that bit. You make that sound very easy.
Oh, it was easy. Of course it was easy.
What did you feel when you were, relatively young, and you're in a national sales manager position? Yes, you would have seen the company grow, so I'm sure you would have been sort of across everything. But going from that to running the whole organisation for Australia, what was going through your mind at that time?
Can I do it? Am I good enough to do it? They're all the things that cross your mind, I think. I still ask myself that sometimes when you look back on the journey and the success. So look, I was very nervous about taking on that responsibility. Having seen Medacta be so successful in various other markets all around the world, and Australia is such an important market for Medacta with our national joint registry, the innovation, the quality of the surgical techniques that occur here in Australia. So it was, it was all a bit nervous, to be completely honest.
And so how did you prepare yourself? How did you get supported, or what did you learn in that phase from going from national sales manager through to managing director or whatever it was at the time?
What did I learn? I learned that you need to definitely rely on your senior colleagues. You need mentorship. You need to be very humble in understanding what you do well and what you don't do well. And you certainly need to be open-minded and bringing in skill sets that you don't have. So understanding what I did well and what I was good at, and understanding what I needed to boost the business was very important.
Okay. And was there anything sort of earlier in your career that you feel like prepared you for that time when you were thinking, can I do this? Okay, I'm going to go for it. I've got the support from the HQ. Is there anything you can remember?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a very good question. I think most people would describe me as quite tenacious. So if I start something, I generally finish it.
Yeah.
I'm always told, often to my detriment, that you're always putting in 110%. Like, give yourself some breathing space and that sort of stuff. So I thought, I guess I felt that I perhaps had the right attitude to take on something that was going to be difficult.
Yeah.
And if it didn't work out, people like Dr. Siccardi or others would pretty quickly tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, this isn't for you. So there isn't a lot to lose, really.
Yeah, you went for it.
Yeah.
And during that time, obviously, Dr. Siccardi would have been a huge mentor, I'm sure, but are there other mentors or people that have influenced you, even from your previous careers, or anyone around you that you feel like has been a mentor? Because you said mentorship was really important for you to go on that journey. Yeah,
look, definitely lots of mentors in my life. I think my dad was probably my best mentor.
Yeah.
He was an amazing individual, came from very humble backgrounds, and I often sat back and reflected on Dad's network, and he would be dealing with everybody, and everybody would be his friends, from the top surgeons in the area that we lived to the lawyers and the barristers were friends of his, and the farmer next door was his friend. So Dad was a great mentor. I think the one thing that Dad taught me, or a few things, many things he taught me, but he taught me when to speak and when not to speak. I think that's a really important attribute to have in business. And he taught me how to read a room. There's a lot that goes on in a room that isn't said, and if you can, cotton onto those little cues, I think you position yourself in a much better way to become successful. That's for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. And do you think, because I know I talk a lot with people when they're entering the industry about reading a room, particularly in theatres, but you're talking about preparing yourself for leadership. Can you just go into that a little bit more? Because there's definitely an energy, I find, in people in leadership that's different to people kind of preparing for leadership. So reading a room is super important.
Yep.
Only speaking, thinking about when you speak. Just dig into that a little bit more.
Give a bit of advice. There's lots of things I think that make great leaders, and many great leaders are very different in the way they do things. I think you need to be exceptionally prepared. You need to be prepared to take one on the chin. As well, because there's lots of times in the world of business that happens. Yeah. You need to have a very, very open mind. You need to be a sponge, and I guess that's what I was when Dr. Siccardi said, "Look, let's do this together." Yeah. Just be very, very open to learning, open to criticism. Do not take things personally. That's a big mistake that a lot of people make in business and in life in general.
Yeah.
Try and not take things personally.
Yeah, I think that's massive. Like, such good advice, and it's really interesting. The more of these interviews I do in these podcasts and in sort of executive search, that is the key thing. People are humble and they're always learning. It doesn't matter how senior you progress. You always thinking there's something new that you can learn from the people around you. That's great.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where that learning comes from. It can come from a mentor, or it can come from somebody that's quite junior that's joined your organisation. So if you keep that open mind, I think you're well placed to succeed.
I love that. How would you describe your leadership style and philosophy?
I guess I like to inspire people. I think is probably the best way to put it. I'm not the leader that tells people what to do or directs people. I'm more the leader that does it and invites people to come along for the ride. Yeah.
So you're kind of leading from the front.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's probably a great way to describe it. Reflecting back on my sporting days as well, I always sort of ended up being, the team captain or something like that. So I guess that is something that I've done from a very early age without even knowing, but just pushing, leading by example, and inspiring people to either, you know, come on board or challenge me.
Yeah, and it does sound like you're open to that from what you're saying. You know, if you're always willing to learn, you're open to being challenged as well.
Yeah,
which,
definitely.
you know, is a certain style of leadership. And for you, you know, you've talked a lot about your upbringing and those sorts of things, but what kind of values, and your nursing background and all of those things, what kind of values or principles really guide you when you are making difficult leadership decisions?
Good question. Good question. I guess you need to stay humble. You need to be honest. You cannot lie in business, and you'll get caught out pretty quickly if you do. Yeah. So you need to have a very, very high level of integrity. You need to, you know, it sounds a bit cliche, but, you know, say what you do and do what you say. It's very, very important. People remember. I think you need to understand and appreciate that people have very good memories. So throwaway lines can often come back and, I won't say haunt you, but remind you of what you said earlier. So it's very important that you don't speak too much. I think you speak with integrity and you make sure you back up what you're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
It earns respect, I think. I think it earns respect.
And it earns
I respect people like that, so I would hope that that's also, I guess, part of my persona as well.
Yeah. Can you share, like you've talked about, you know, your leadership style, the journey, but are there any times, and I'm sure there's been many, but anything that you can share that will help other people learn too, any setbacks or challenges that you faced during that leadership journey that you look back on and go, God, I really learned from that one?
Okay, so I guess one of my philosophies, and this was taught to me by a previous managing director here at Medacta, that the best thing that we can do as a leader is invite someone into your organisation and help prepare them for their next role, which is an interesting scenario that you're often faced with. So the reality is that during that preparation period, you are really getting the best out of the people that you're working with. They're trying hard, they're doing everything that they say they would do. It's a double-edged sword though, because often when they are ready, you don't have a role for them, and you've invested a significant amount of time in preparing these people who become one of your fiercest and best competitors sometimes. So that happens, but it's
hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard, but it's very, very rewarding. I would say, and you build great contacts, and whilst they may leave your organisation when they're ready, it's not forever. And you know, I'm very proud. There's been a lot of people that have started at Medacta, gone off and done something else, and actually come back and taking some leadership roles within our organisation.
Yeah, great. That's really good. How do you feel when people leave? Because you've talked about that sort of honesty, and I know you've been very loyal to Medacta, and I think it doesn't. Yes, we're preparing people for the next move, but how does it make you?
How do you feel when people leave? Again, back on the mentor. So and I'm certainly not a ninja, but I've been doing martial arts for many, many years, and my
actually, Tony, I remember coming to visit you at the office and you had a black eye once because you'd been in a comp the night before. And I wondered what had happened.
I remember my grandmaster, Nick, telling, Master Donato as we call him, everybody leaves, but it's a matter of how and why. And so when you understand that, it makes it. I used to take people leaving very personally, and I guess experience and grey hair has taught me to not take it so personal, and to understand, because I left. You know, I left the distributor that I worked for that introduced me into the organisation. You know, I left a striker, and I've left many things. So.
It's the how and the why.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and understanding that makes it a lot easier.
Good advice. I like that. And is there anything in your time where you've had like a really significant setback or failure that you're happy to share? that you've
absolutely.
worked through?
Yeah, there's been lots.
Surely only one.
How many can we talk about? How much time do we have? So look, on occasion I've picked the wrong people to join our organisation, and that has had some detrimental effects on the rest of the organisation.
Okay.
And so I take that personally. So that's a definite. Having, on occasion we lose big clients. And that is, that has quite an impact on how you deal with that. And, early on in my career, I'd be shaking my head saying, what are you thinking? Why are you going? And today, if that happens, and I hope it doesn't happen too often moving forward, my response is quite different. And it would be a firm handshake and a look in the eye and saying, thank you very much for your trust over the many years we've worked together. I understand your position. I respect your position. And that's the way things happen. So it's quite different.
Well, it's almost linking back to what you said before about how you leave and the how and the why, and that will be remembered the way you do that. And just digging into, you said about the wrong people. Obviously, we don't need to go into the nitty-gritty.
Would you like me to name some names?
Go for it. I'll tag them. No, more, what have you learned from that? So how have you overcome that? I mean, we can't always avoid it, but just share what you've learned from that.
Don't always believe what you hear. That's a big one.
In an interview, you mean?
Yes, absolutely. No, but I think what I've learnt the most is how important a cultural fit is. It's far more important than the skill set or the potential relationships that somebody can bring to an organisation. A bad cultural fit is very, very detrimental to an organisation. And
how do you go about, assessing for that cultural fit now after having there've been some challenging hires or mistakes?
Absolutely. So I rely on my colleagues for recommendations. A surgeon friend of mine uses this question, and I've started using this question in the interview process, and it's tell me about your oldest friend and how long has your oldest friend been around. And so understanding a little bit without prying too much about the personal life and the makeup of a person. If someone says, I'm still kicking around with my schoolmates, to me that's a good sign. So,
I like that
use
one.
that as a bit of a yardstick these days.
I'll be using that one. And so let's say you've got to make a really tough decision, and it's one of those decisions that's keeping you up at night, like it's a bad one, and it's making you really think and making you feel very stressed. How do you approach that and being able to make it in the right way?
So I guess the first thing for anyone that's in a leadership position, you have to accept that the buck stops with you at a particular time point. And so if I'm going to make this decision, I need to be ready for the good and the bad that comes with it. So accepting that is very, very important. Making a decision and then looking to perhaps shift the blame somewhere else, or that just doesn't cut it. The buck stops with me. And I remember a good friend of mine's father who was actually a police commissioner here in New South Wales. I remember him being interviewed, and he said the buck stops with me right here. And so I tried to bring that along into my business. So considering what the potential outcomes, trying to look creatively further than just the obvious outcome, I think is very, very important. Having those discussions with people I trust is very important as well. So I don't always get the reassurance I want, but at least having sounding boards and having that network to describe and assess situations is very important. I think you need that as a leader. Definitely, because it's lonely at the top, isn't it? And you need people that you can talk about these things that are really kind of challenging you or worrying you. And how do you get that sort of mental clarity, because sometimes things can feel very clouded. Before you go into the discussions, the decisions, how do you get that mental clarity? You have talked about the kind of, you do martial arts and different things, but what works for you? thinking at about 3 a.m. in the morning, to be perfectly honest. So I wake up, and for some reason, what I was worrying about when I went to bed is completely different when you wake up, being well rested and recharged. So I think that the mental clarity comes with peace of mind and acceptance that your decision and the results of your decisions could either be really big, very good, or terrible. I think you just need to accept that, and you need to back yourself. You know, Alberto Siccardi, for example, when he founded Medacta, he really focused in on a direct anterior approach. And he said, this is what we're doing. If it fails, I shut the company. So that conviction, I think, and trusting your judgment without being arrogant. That's the worst thing you can do. But just really trusting your judgment and appreciating that it could go one or two ways, and you've made a decision, and let's back it.
Okay. Anything else, Tony, around decision making?
Oh yeah. I guess one thing that I've learned is that sometimes no deal is better than a bad deal. You don't have to please everybody, and you have to accept that, you know, perhaps you won't win the business or you won't win the favour of somebody, but you need to really stick to your principles.
Definitely. I can agree with that one, having come from the background of doing spine and ortho before. It's true. Okay, let's kind of get more into your team, because you have built, your team's grown a lot over the last few years. You're doing great. You're doing fantastically in the market. We're hearing really good things from the surgeons as well as, you know, people joining your organisation. So tell me about what you do to really get the talent in, but also it's more about how do you retain your top talent and develop them through your organisation. As you said, if you're having the mindset of getting them ready for their next position, how do you do that at Medacta?
So we're very fortunate.
No,
we're very fortunate that Medacta is a growing company, and so there is a genuine need for talent acquisition and development within our organisation, which is great. So I guess some people describe me as a little bit creative in terms of creating roles or creating I guess business opportunities, which are all legal and completely compliant. But I do like the creativity side of things, and so we've opened up some positions here at Medacta Australia that aren't standard positions around the world or in the industry, but have slowly developed throughout Medacta. So developing people is actually one of my passions. I'll be completely transparent. I love the idea of someone growing within the organisation, someone who prescribes to our culture. Medacta is very unique in its culture, and I'm more than happy to speak to you a little bit more about that. But just having people develop and looking back and looking at an organisational chart and just seeing this person with director in their title, remembering that they started with you 14 years ago as a sales representative. All of those things, I find it quite inspiring to see that type of growth within our people.
And you do. Like, there's so many people that have moved through and are doing all sorts of different things within the business and help the business grow. So talk about the culture. Tell me more about the culture.
So it's an interesting culture. I mean, there's so many different descriptions of organisational culture, but I really prescribe to a concept, an idea that when multiplied throughout an organisation creates a culture. And at Medacta, we have a very, very simple culture, and that is you do, and it sounds very cliche, but you do everything that is in the best interest of the patient, and you will not be challenged. And the reason we have that culture is that our company was founded by a patient. And, you know, having heard stories of helicopters flying in and out of Medacta head office, for example, where some regional hospitals in Switzerland have dropped an implant. You know, ordinarily you would close up and come back tomorrow when you have the equipment, but that doesn't cut it with Medacta. So we get a phone call, a helicopter's called from Lugano Airport, come and pick up this implant and fly it over here. And it's a true story.
Genuinely,
it's a true story.
Like that,
When we have that culture and no one at Medacta questions you as long as you act in the best interest of the patient, we all head in the same direction. Yeah, and that's one of the key questions in an interview process at Medacta. You know, who's the most important patient in the operating room? And not everyone says the patient. It's interesting.
That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you see it too. I think you'd think that, and I think it's particularly with a clinical background, but also you'd think anybody joining this industry would think that way, but it's not always the same, and not always the same across all companies, interestingly. Let's get kind of take a bit of a bird's eye view and talk about the industry as a whole. So, you know, we go to the different conferences, you're always at different global conferences, you're having the conversations out there with surgeons, we're seeing what's happening, but what do you see as some of the trends and innovations, and what's shaping our industry at the moment? What do you see coming?
I think the same thing that's shaping most industries, artificial intelligence, is really playing a part in the world of medicine and the world of orthopedics. So I think innovation is key. Medacta is the company that blends innovation and education, which has made us very, very successful. Here at Medacta, you know, if we consider ourselves, and we are a sales organisation, we sell everything except the implants, to be perfectly honest. We sell, you know, innovation, we sell patient outcomes. We often sell differentiation for the clients that we are working with. So whilst innovation, artificial intelligence and all of these things are really making their mark in the medtech industry, I think that the most innovative thing you can do is keep your basics, you know, and keep them pure and ensure that you're doing the basic things really, really good.
And by basics, you mean patient care, obviously?
Patient care, servicing your clients, being honest, you know, high level of integrity, all of these sorts
all
of
the
things
we've talked about. Excellent.
Yeah.
And how do you stay ahead? I mean, your company is very innovative. You know, you're lucky to have, you know, your HQ being very involved with everything that happens here in Australia.
Very much so.
So how do you stay ahead against, you know, some big players out there in the industry evolving rapidly, again with what you can share that isn't commercially in confidence, but how do you stay ahead in that innovative way?
I think, and it started from day one when Medacta was founded and we introduced the anterior approach. I think for some reason the Siccardi family continually back the right horse. I don't know why,
Amazing.
how they do it, but they do. So we stay ahead by commitment to a concept, a product, a surgical technique that we truly believe in.
So you're backing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I must say one of the beauties of Medacta is the succession plan that, and I really admire Alberto, Dr. Siccardi, for the way he's done it. He's involved his family in the business, and it is a family business. And you know, his son Francesco is now the CEO, and I hope he doesn't see this, but like he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in 5 languages. Like he's just amazing.
That's so cool.
And Maria Luisa is involved in the finance, and Alessandro is involved in the logistics and the asset management, and they all still talk to each other. They still like each other. So it's a pretty
that's a miracle.
It's a pretty impressive setup that we've got. So you know, Medacta's success is this succession plan. You know, it's not only the concept, it's not only the commitment to a particular surgical technique or product, but the fact that it's generational now, and Alberto inherited from his father as well, who was also a very innovative pharmacist and businessman.
Oh, right, okay. So Alberto, you're talking about, who was the patient and the original founder.
The founder of Medacta.
His father was also...
His father was, founded a company called Life Medical.
Okay.
And they were involved in perineal dialysis and intravenous solutions, and I believe that the family was involved in inventing, let's say, a plastic film that goes on the inside of IV solution bags to stop the chemicals in the plastic seeping into the IV solution and then being transferred to the patient. And so they sold to Baxter. And so those little Baxter bags that you see hanging in the hospital, have a little bit of the Siccardi touch from what I understand. That's
unbelievable. A very innovative family. So let's get back to you then, Tony, because you know it's great to have your time, and for people who are aspiring to be leaders and working through this journey themselves. You know, advice that you have. you know, we talk about, and I don't necessarily love talking about work-life balance, but we do have the conversation in our industry a lot around burnout. And I think, you know, not necessarily with your organisation, but how global situations are impacting everything everywhere. You know, businesses are running leaner. There's a lot of challenges post-COVID.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you protect your energy, let's call it, and then influence your, you know, people to protect their energy too, in a very demanding environment that's sometimes difficult to do that?
It certainly is, and that demand, it's not linear, let's say.
No.
You know, there's times throughout the year where it's really really heavy.
Yeah.
So how do I protect? So I guess I reflect on my journey and how I can translate that into protecting my people, the people that work for me. Sharing the load's really important. I've got a saying at Medacta that's now been diffused throughout the organisation.
Yeah.
It's a very simple saying, but it's get the right people in the room and watch the magic happen. And I've seen it time and time again. And so I think as a leader, and we're all leaders regardless of your role.
Yeah.
We all lead our own team, we all lead our own devices. If you have the skills to get the right people for a meeting or for a discussion in that room, you basically can sit back and just watch it all happen, and it's amazing.
So this is going back to what you talked about at the beginning when you first took the position, you transitioned from a national sales manager to the MD, and you were self-reflective about what you didn't have and what you didn't know, but you've obviously got the knack to know who to bring in and what skills to bring in, and then you've seen it time and time again, have you? Just this magic unfold.
It happens, and yeah, I'm certainly not a superhero, but I think I guess the one superpower I've developed is understanding who the right people in the room are and making sure. Yeah.
How would you advise other people that maybe haven't had to do that yet or been given the opportunity to do that yet, but they're aspiring to get to the position to make such an impact or lead an organisation? How would you advise them to get good at doing that?
Ask lots of questions. Yeah, ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Notice when people are doing things that are extraordinary and outstanding.
Yeah.
And then create the plan.
Yeah.
And pull it all together. I mean, you're putting a jigsaw puzzle together here. The key thing to understand is what are you trying to achieve? So you really need to, begin with that end goal in mind, and if it is in relation to a client, you have to understand what that client wants. So there's a great guy that I met while I was at Striker, Doug Gloff was his name, and he founded a company called Panacea. And Doug came to Australia, and I think my manager at the time asked, does anyone want to have this consultant? And I thought, I'll have it. So we spent 2 days on the road, and Doug taught me to try and work out what are the 10 most important things in a surgeon's professional life. Yeah. And see how you can interact. It might not be with number one, but with 2 or 3 of those really important things. And if you can do that, and you can form a partnership rather than being a supplier, it opens it up.
And so I'm hearing that you're applying that to working out who are the right people in the room as well as your customers.
Yeah. So understand what your customer needs.
Yeah.
Understand what, and I'm very privileged at Medacta to have, the CEO and the area directors and the engineers and the product managers, all willing to, to be out on the road and meeting with clients.
Yeah, that is something fantastic. Having worked with you guys for a number of years and seeing people join your organisation, that is amazing that people will come in and support, and people feel very held in terms of your customers, which is great.
Yeah.
So let's think about somebody that's entering the industry, or they're maybe in their second move in the industry, and they're watching this podcast and they're thinking, I want to be that someday, or not necessarily that, just that, wow, what an impact someone can make, and I'd love to make an impact. What advice would you give to, the new territory managers coming into your company, or the new people in the warehouse to keep developing, you talked at the beginning, it was around having mentors, being humble, being self-reflective, tenacious, listening, asking a lot of questions. But what advice would you give to people that are looking to follow in your footsteps?
Okay, read 2 books.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
which one?
Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book. It's quite contemporary. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, from back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And it still stands true today. So there's some great points that come out of those books. So what I'm saying broadly is educate yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got to, if you're moving into potentially a sales role, know your product. That's the basic, and that's a non-negotiable. So study, open your mind, and learn, and be open to continual learning.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is important, that once you start your career in medical devices and you, I guess, want to elevate your value within the industry itself, you need to build a crew. And that's what I tell all the guys that join Medacta is, you need to build a network of some clients, some colleagues, mentors. You need to build your crew that you can refer to, rely on. And once you have that crew, and particularly if you're in a sales environment, if you have a group of very loyal clients that trust you, because trust is such a big thing in our game, right? It's such a privileged position to be in an operating theatre and making recommendations to a consultant, to a specialist, as we used to call them, on how to manage their patients. It's a very privileged position. And so once you have that bond and that trust, you become very valuable in the industry. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it is so interesting, isn't it, that difference between people looking for the next step rather than just getting really deep and good at what they're doing and becoming invaluable, like you say, by doing the right things, but being inquisitive and learning.
Yeah, you need to be patient. The next step will come.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that chase that next step and they're either not ready for it or they're chasing it in a completely the wrong way.
Yeah, or they're not really understanding why they're chasing that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really good advice. And do you think there are, we've probably dug into a lot of them, but when you're looking at people that you're going to succeed in your organisation, or you can see that they've gotten to that point and you haven't got the position there for them, they're probably going to be able to go and do that somewhere else. What are those attributes you look for? Skills, okay, it could be different for all the different positions, but what attributes are you looking for in future leaders?
Creativity to solve problems is a big one. That's a big one. Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to be creative. You need to be able to look at both sides of the piece of paper to really understand what's going on. Being intuitive is very, very important. I guess we keep going back to being able to read a room and to understand what somebody's goals are. It's hard to know. I still haven't worked out whether those skills can be taught or they're genuinely skills of nature that one must evolve within themselves. Some people get it, and some people perhaps don't get it as quickly as others. But that intuition, that creativity, the ability to inspire people without telling people what to do. Yeah, that stands out. To me, it stands out. Yeah, no, I can see that. And, we spend hours every single day talking to and interviewing so many people in the industry, but you do see it. You see it early. Yeah. And you see that, ability to inspire because they can hold you in a conversation and keep you there. And they can explain themselves clearly, but also it is that willingness to learn and not waiting for it to come to them. Absolutely. And not waiting for it to be a training course that you put on for them, but they're devouring podcasts. And with AI now, you can work a lot of things out. So. Sure. Yeah, no, it's a very good point you make. People that are in our industry and expect others to teach them about our industry, you're going to struggle. Yeah. Yeah, you need to be very proactive.
And well, at your level too, like you say, if you don't know something, you're going to go and find it out or ask people. It doesn't stop, does it?
It doesn't. No. In fact, I'm probably asking more questions now than I did as a junior, territory manager and sales representative.
Yeah.
And I think so I should be.
Yeah, definitely. So Tony, is there anything exciting you can share that's happening either with yourself or with the organisation? Anything that's kind of coming up that you're looking forward to?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for asking. We're in a very interesting phase at Medacta Australia, and so we've initiated a project that is basically it's not a restructure at all. It's an organisational transformation to prepare ourselves for the next chunk. So we've had a lot of rapid growth at Medacta Australia. We kind of tend to chase our tail a little bit in certain aspects. So now we are really planning for the future, which means more roles, more development internally for our good people that are interested in developing and stepping up. More talent coming towards Medacta, which is great. And it's taken. It was interesting. Medacta was the perception of Medacta, I guess, is the way to describe it. Back when we first started, we were this crazy Swiss-Italian company coming to Australia with this surgical technique that no one really uses. And we attracted a lot of interesting characters that wanted to come, surgeons, I mean. That wanted to come and work with Medacta. Now, I guess we're accepted as a very stable multinational company with good people, with high integrity, great products. And so we're a different company. Well, at least we're the same company. It's still the same people that are working at this company. Particularly the gentleman that interviewed me is still working at Medacta, and so is his offsider. So it's so we're a different company now. We need to think a little bit different, and we need to maintain that family feel and that responsiveness, but think like a larger multinational, which we well and truly are. So this organisational transformation that's happening here at Medacta is something that's very new to me, but very exciting. So it takes a lot of planning, a lot of good and sensible budgeting to ensure that we can afford to grow and move forward, and a little bit of sweet talking with our Swiss colleagues to open up their purses a little bit as well. But it's just a great time to be at Medacta. We are attracting very, very high quality surgeons. We are doing a lot of good research. We are servicing a lot of patients and helping them improve their way of life. And we're attracting lots of good people, it's an exciting time.
Well done.
It's a great time.
Fantastic to watch your growth. And what about you? Any sort of goals and aspirations for you personally?
Yeah, look, if Powerball comes off, this will be our last conversation, let me tell you. What I want to do, I love what I do. I don't know anything else, and I genuinely love what I do. I love the people I work with. I'm a one company sort of a guy. I'm very loyal. And loyalty is much more than just tenure in my mind.
What does it mean to you then, Tony?
It means, having the difficult conversations, wearing it on the chin for your colleagues in the market, not throwing your colleagues under the bus, all of those sorts of things that often people do too easily. That self-protection and preservation, that's not loyal. No. That's not loyal. So what I want to do, I want to stay with Medacta. I want to see Medacta to its next phase. I'd like to retire at Medacta, if they'll have me.
If they'll let you.
Yeah, that's right. But I'd like to really ensure that I stay grounded. I'm very proud to say that whilst I've been away a lot with Medacta, growing the business and doing all those sorts of things, I've never missed a birthday, one of my kids' birthdays, and I don't, and I won't. Yeah, absolutely. So staying grounded is very, very important. having fun.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of our culture at Medacta. We like to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So if it stops being enjoyable, then it gets a bit stale.
Yeah.
Right? So.
And then it's a sign, isn't it? But whilst all those things are good, you keep going, don't you? Which is great.
Yeah. Love being on a winning team. A little bit competitive. As
I didn't notice.
As are most of the people that join us. So, taking market share. Collaborating with new and up-and-coming surgeons.
Yeah.
One of Francesco, our CEO's greatest passions is taking a concept or an idea and bringing it to life and bringing it to market. And we've seen it with our direct anterior approach, with our kinematic alignment, with our medial pivot knees.
Yeah.
All of these things, taking an idea from a crazy surgeon and bringing it to life and making it mainstream.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is good. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
And any last tips or advice for our audience? And there's a lot of people there that listen to this and are really getting a lot of inspiration from listening to leaders like you who've gone through a journey.
What can I say? If you don't love it, don't do it. You've got to be passionate about it. You need to understand that if you want a gold medal, you've got to put in the hard yards. The training from 9 to 5 doesn't cut it in the industry. So it's very, very important that you're prepared to make that commitment. You need to stay grounded. You need to be honest. You need to be all of the things that we know that just makes a good human being. And build your crew.
Yeah.
Build your crew.
Build your crew.
Get the right people in the room and watch the magic happen. I think that's the way it rolls here.
Love that. You've inspired me too, Tony.
Thank you.
Thanhave so much for your time.
What an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Tara. I've been very humbled that you've invited me to go. And I mean, your career's been amazing too. We've watched each other, I guess, grow our careers. And the innovative way in which you approach recruitment and helping or partnering with companies to bring good people. It's pretty inspiring for us too, so well done.
Thank you. That's so kind, Tony, and thank you for taking the time out. I'm so excited for this one to go live.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.